Member for Frome.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Education. Can the Minister update the House on the future direction and security of the Port Pirie and the Port Augusta TAFE campuses, and with regard to staffing in particular, and also provision of relevant courses relevant to the industries?
Minister for Education.
I thank the member for the question. Firstly, in relation to the campuses, we look forward to seeing those campuses used for training and also further opportunities for training-related activities for students who live in Port Pirie, Port Augusta and the districts. The TAFE board and the TAFE chief executive have, in recent months, released for consultation, discussion, their regional review. One of the key areas that they're working in, and they're working in this across South Australia, but Port Pirie and Port Augusta are obviously key campuses, key locations where this is happening, is how to ensure that not only do the TAFE campuses, through the increased focus in regional South Australia in TAFE's general work and their engagement with the local industries and businesses to make sure they're meeting that local demand, but how do they also give more and broader opportunities to students in regional South Australia who might not traditionally have had access to a particular course in Port Pirie or Port Augusta or any other regional location. And this is, I guess, one of those serendipitous benefits that's come out of the things that have been driven by necessity through COVID. As indeed people have become more comfortable with and more familiar with technology, they've also become more familiar with and more comfortable with the opportunity to do blended learning, where potentially, if you might be trying to gather a group of 14 students, and rather than waiting for a full year, or potentially 2 years, or maybe it will never happen, gathering 14 students in a course to make it viable in one particular location, if you can bring together 2 or 3 locations through a high-quality AV investment, a high-quality engagement between lecturers and students, it doesn't need the lecturer needs to be in the same room as the student for every single class. If they can share that course across 2 or 3 locations, you will indeed increase the number of courses available, increase the number of times that they are able to be offered, speed up the process between somebody indicating an interest in undertaking a course of training and indeed that course being available at their local campus in a high-quality facility. So the TAFE board is obviously looking at those investments where they might need to be made in particular campuses to ensure that those facilities and that level of access is available as much as possible to students wherever they are in South Australia, and indeed for students in Port Pirie and Port Augusta. I have every confidence that in the years ahead those engagements between TAFE and local industry will continue to be enhanced. I have equally every confidence, and I was with the member for Stewart not so long ago at John Pirie Secondary School, and also we visited Port Augusta Secondary School a couple of times to talk about the flexible industry pathways that they're offering, and indeed using the model that is available because of the reforms of the Marshall Liberal government for training in schools and vocational education training in schools through the flexible industry pathways. What we are doing is enabling students at our schools to have access to high-quality training, indeed delivered by quality RTOs, especially TAFE SA when it comes to schools, who are able to deliver that to school students. But because of the work we've done, we've identified particularly which courses are both relevant for school students who are seeking to go straight from school potentially into employment, especially if that's through a traineeship or apprenticeship on the way. So identifying what are the most high-value training opportunities for those students. And we've also gone to industry and business and said what specifically are the sorts of training that will meet the skills shortages, both in regions and across the state. So those flexible industry pathways offered at John Pirie Secondary School, offered at Port Augusta Secondary School. The member for Stewart and I certainly had great feedback from the schools about what that will offer those students, and we get great feedback regularly from businesses and industries about how happy they are. We've got more than 3,000 businesses that have offered a traineeship or an apprenticeship for the first time ever in the last 3 years. We've had a 30% increase in the number of school-based apprenticeships and traineeships in the last financial year, and we're going to keep doing that work and keep giving more opportunities to those students.